Namaste. So, welcome back to the series Tell Me Appa, the 7th episode today. So, something exciting. Back to the odd number 7. So, I'm going to call it Best Ideas for a Better Lifestyle, because I think most of us look upon Dr. Sir as a good role model, and we want to live like him, and we have other dreams like he has achieved so much, so we should achieve so much and all that. So what we consider as a better lifestyle, what he is living, so we'll learn more about it, and maybe it will give us some ideas for our upcoming lifestyle for the younger generation and the present generation also. So my first question: can you describe a typical day for you? The son, father, doctor, and last but not least, Yogacharya. A day in the life of Dr. Ananda BAlayogi Bhavanani.
It's tough, very tough to describe a day in my life. For the simple reason, most days are quite different. But all I can say is that each day is different. Each day is a new day. Each day is a day in which you learn something. And I personally believe that any day that you learn something is well lived, and the day you stop learning, well, you stop living. So I would say that basically, typically, especially now that we have the COVID times going on, we have been spending much more time in the morning, getting up, and I've been able to get into my cycling and other things like that. So a bit of the cycling, and then getting ready to connect with my world family, and then rushing down, having something to eat, and rushing in the traffic. Nowadays we already still have traffic to work, and keeping busy at Saiter, where we are doing a lot of work also. Coming back home, and then starting to think what we are going to do that afternoon. The one good thing I do is I try to sleep as much as I can. So that is one advice I give people: never cut down on sleep, because sleep is when you connect to yourself. Sleep is when your body systems can repair themselves. So any repair, rejuvenation, healing that has to happen in the body, you need to sleep for it. So I make sure I have a nap in the afternoon usually, and then again in the evening we are on to the next part of the plan. Now what I have sort of realized is that there's one part of my life which is sort of working in the hospital at Saiter, where we work in the university, SBB University. But then there's another part which is the ashram life, and then when we used to go to town for Yoganjali Natyalayam, which for the last 3 months we have had to close because of COVID, then Friday, Saturday would be a lot of that. Sundays would be going to Kamliswami Madam. So what happens is it's like you are living 3 or 4 lives in one. So 3 or 4 days in one. It becomes very intense, but intensity is part of the tapa. When we talk of Kriya Yoga, Tapa Swadhyaya, Ishvara Pranidhana, intensity is part of that. So I think we should never shy away from it. But what I think is most important, if you want to really make your day work well, is that every part of your life should be important, every part of your day should be important, and you should be trying to give your best every moment. And one very important thing in your day-to-day life is to be considerate of others. So you need to understand, what are other people doing? Do they need something? Can I help them? Can I be of assistance to others wherever you are? I think that type of awareness is very, very part and parcel of good living. So I think that whatever you do, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're out in the public, or with yourself, there should be that question that, does somebody need something to be done? Can I help somebody? And if you see something that needs to be done, please do it, because do it now is Swamiji's message, never postpone it.
Okay, so it seems quite normal, like people going for work in the early morning and all the traffic, especially when me and my brother had to go to school.
Yeah, that was
actually quite a time when,
quite a balancing act to get you to school and get to work in time. So
a lot, but now you have some more time, like you can directly go for your okay. So the second question: when at least one parent is totally inclined towards Indian value system, if the children are not interested in Indian culture, traditions, beliefs, religion, arts including yoga, and their thoughts and behavior are based on consumerism,
Consumerism.
how should be the parent response?
Yeah, I think, see, the thing is that there is no ideal way to parent. And if there were an ideal parenting method, we would have one book for it and not thousands of books. So I think it is ultimately up to each parent, it's up to each child and each family to find what is the best way for them. Now what happens is there are often divergent views in parenting, and what happens is one person feels there should be more discipline, one feels there should be less discipline, and similarly, as the questioner has said, there may be value systems which are different. So for one person the Indian cultural values are important, for another they are not. For one person, it is more the materialistic world, for another it is the spiritual world. So I think ultimately all that can be done is that each of the parents has to do the best they can do for their children, and the one danger is that if there are conflicting views coming in, the child gets confused. But then ultimately a child is a living being and they will also find their own way. So I don't think we need to worry about am I doing it correct. There is no one correct way. Each parent, each child, it is a dynamic mix, and there's a constant evaluation. I think what is essential here is there should be a sense of swadhyaya, and there should be a sense of looking at oneself and analyzing, is this method suitable for this kid or not, and seeing what the child needs and how it can be done. Because spare the rod and spoil the child was an idea at one time, but now, and again, study all the time, no work, no play, all these type of concepts. I think there has to be a balance. And again, you cannot have this idealistic situation that 100 years ago this is what kids were like. Kids are different today, and even in one generation there's a huge change. I have seen it at Yoganjali. Even in the last 30 years there have been at least 5 different distinct type of situations with the children. So we as an adult, we as a parent, we need to constantly be adapting by self-reflecting. Is this method working for the child or not? And ultimately, remember, all we can do as a parent is create an environment for the child to learn how to be a good human being. We need to be a good role model for the child. And if that happens, the child will find their own way, because each person is a unique specimen of humanity. And that's 7 billion plus of us. So I don't think that we can say that it has to be only this way. And if a child is inclined towards it, give them an opportunity. Again, as a parent, I think it is very important we don't restrict the perspective of the child. We need to keep an open mind, and the child may not want to do it the way we are doing it. It's their choice. But then is that choice coming from a knowledge choice, or is it just an emotional anti-reaction? Because if it's an emotional anti-reaction, later on they will regret it. As one of my students was saying, when her daughter was young, the daughter went and cut her long hair. She had very long hair and she cut it. And then later on, she tells her mother, why did you let me cut it? I didn't know what I was doing. And you let me cut it. You should not have let me cut it. Now these are emotional reactions. So I think what is very important is it an emotional anti-reaction from the child, or is it a true natural urge to do it differently? So parents need wisdom, and wisdom will only come by self-analysis. There's no other way to it.
Okay, so we children also, we have our ups and downs, but we should also realize, the parents, they think only good for us. They might scold us and all that will be there. But at first, even with me, I had the same experience when I cut my hair when I was about 12 or 13. And I thought it was nice because you see all my friends had cut their hair and they all were doing the styles, and lot of friends, I'm not saying all the friends, but there were a lot of friends who were, I don't know whether they wanted to spoil my life or whatever, or they were jealous or whatever, but I think I made them happy. But now that my hair has grown back, I'm really happy and
Yeah, these are small choices. See, the thing is, the child should be given an opportunity to make a choice, but the choice should come from their inside, not this peer pressure, negative peer pressure choices or emotional, as I said, anti reactions. You tell me to do it, so I will not do it. This is a common anti reaction that is there, and then you get in trouble because one parent wants it to be one way. They want you to go the spiritual path, and other parents wants you to go the material path. It may be dressing, it may be cultural, it may be activities, and then the child revolts. So I think one has to be very, very, very careful here, considerate, and as a parent, I think what needs to be done is just create a safety net for the child, give the child the space in which they can grow in whatever direction they are going to grow. The more tighter you hold, the less the growth is. I think there's a good story which is worth bringing in at this point. It's from one of our traditional tales. I'm thinking whether it's Jataka tales or Hitopadesha. Both of these have a lot of stories of animals. And it may be Jataka tales. And it's a story of some monkeys in the royal garden. So the royal gardener, he had this beautiful garden, and he had to go out of station for a few days. So there were a lot of monkeys in that garden, and the monkeys found him to be very sad, and they said, "What's happening?" He said, "I want to go out, but nobody is there to take care of the garden if I'm not there." So the monkeys said, "No issue, what do we need to do?" He said, "We need to water plants." They said, "We will do it. We are very good. We have seen how you water them, so we will do them." And so the monkeys wanted to help him. So he said, "Okay, fine." He said, "It's just watering the plant, they will manage." Now what happened is the monkey started watering. He went on holiday. So the monkey started watering the garden, and suddenly one monkey got a doubt. We are watering the plant, but is the water getting to the root of the plant or not? So immediately the monkeys, this is the problem with the monkey mind. They started to say, "Oh my God, how do we know that the water has gone to the root?" So another monkey, wise monkey, be careful of wise monkeys in human form. This wise monkey said, "All you have to do is pull the plant out and see whether the root is wet or not." And so they started pulling out all the plants to check if the water had gone to the root. Now you can imagine when a few days later the gardener came home, he saw that all the garden was filled with plants that had been uprooted because the monkeys wanted to check whether the root had got watered. இதை தமிழில் சொல்ல போனால் சும்மா கடந்த சங்க ஊதி கெடுத்தான் ஆண்டி. This is something that often Devasena mentions, and I think this is something we have to be careful as a parent, that water the plant, that is your child, but don't keep on pulling it out to see whether the water has got to the root. So give them the ideas, give them the space, let them grow. It is their life. Okay, it is their life, because if you keep on checking, there will be one point where they will revolt against it, and then your good intention ideas will all go to waste.
Well, that was quite a nice story explaining, the proper kind of way that the parents can, they shouldn't be like really after the children, like, have you done this, have you done that, and why are you like this?
There's a limit. And the child also, see, I think one thing that the parent has to convey to the child is that anything the parent is doing is coming out of consideration for the welfare of the child. So if as a child I understand that it is for my welfare, I will accept things even if they are not nice. And I think this is something as a child I very much had. I knew that whatever Swamiji or Ammaji did, I knew it was for my welfare. And so once I am convinced it is for my welfare, then I can accept it better than, if it comes from another place. And that is why the parents shouldn't take out their emotional stress on the child, because then the child will stop trusting them.
Okay, so I'll move on to the next one, or else we'll be, I think, kind of dragging. This is quite an interesting topic. So, if you are irritated, become angry or pissed off, what will you do? Options like bike ride, car driving, eating, sleeping.
Okay. Now I'll give you a few episodes here. One is that how I dealt with it when I was in school. at Bhavan's was that whenever I got really irritated or was emotionally agitated, what I used to do is that I had two options. One, I used to go to the music room where I had taken my mridangam, and for about half an hour, 45 minutes, I would just beat away at the drum like anything. And at the end of that half an hour, 45 minutes of playing my mridangam very, very forcefully, I would have found that that emotionality had left me and that I was back to normal. It was a very beautiful catharsis. For me, my mridangam playing was a beautiful catharsis. The second thing I used to do in school was take one of my old socks and put a cricket ball inside it, tie it to the ceiling, and then with a cricket bat I would hit it. Now when you hit it, it goes, it comes back. Again you hit it, it comes back. And half an hour of doing this, what will happen is that the emotionality goes away. You sort of take it out, but you have taken it out in a constructive way, because what happens is when you do that, you are improving your cricketing skill, but you have also got rid of the emotional turmoil. Same thing with the mridangam. You have got rid of the emotional turmoil while also having practiced well. Rather than going and shouting or fighting or hitting or breaking something, if you can find a constructive outlet which will help you have practice of a skill and at the same time emotional release. Now when I was in medical school, medical college, I didn't have these two options. So what I would do, I had my bike and I used to take my bike and go out for a long ride, 20-30 kilometers into the middle of nowhere. Out in Varda, I would go the opposite direction to the town. Middle of nowhere, in the middle of the fields or someplace, go for a ride, just stop the vehicle and just sit there in nature for some time. And what I found was this was a very beautiful stress buster for me. Nowadays, you cannot do those options. So one thing with the COVID-19, it has brought the mridangam back a lot. It's brought my singing back a lot, the yoga sessions a lot. And again, I think one very good thing is when I teach, and I teach about these high concepts, it actually is a very good catharsis for me, because often I find the very thing I need for that day for myself is what I am teaching people, that because I never really planned this is what I am going to teach. It just flows. And what I find is I am actually helping myself, I am counseling myself. And at Saita, many days I used to find a patient would come for counseling and for the therapy, and I would talk to them, and they would be bringing out from me exactly what I needed to hear for my own self that day. So I think these are very good ways to do it. Again, we have to recognize and accept. Acceptance is a very important part of being human. We have to accept that as a human being, we will have emotional volatility. There will be moments we are really, really irritated and the emotions are at a peak. What we do at that time will often be something that we will regret later. And that is why it is important to make sure that we find positive, constructive outlets for these emotional releases. Otherwise, we end up breaking things. You break a cupboard, you break a window, you break your car. And so many people, they do that. They take the car and go and they break it. Now, who's going to pay the bill? You are going to have to pay that bill. Whose car has got damaged? Your car. Whose nice glass cup got broken because you threw it against the wall? Yours. So I think what is important is that even in those moments, to make sure that we try to have a constructive outlet. Now this is theoretically very wonderful, but even I so many times end up breaking things. I end up destroying things, and then I realize more and more these teachings that they have to be taken to heart, they have to be brought into your day-to-day life, not just kept in some conceptual framework.
Okay, so some more things that you can do when you're angry. Maybe everybody has their own side of it, but singing has also helped me a lot. Like whenever I sing, it was when I was even, especially in the last 3 months before writing my public exam in March, I was actually trying to sing every single day, at
Very
least
nice.
one song. And this was at the end of the day, so I would come back home about between 8 and 9, and I would sing, and then just whatever happened that day, whether teacher scolded me depending on my marks or whatever, and my friends, irritation. There's a lot of that friend thing in, I think especially 12th. I'm sure everybody has it. Yeah.
It just happens. And that's just part of being a kid, that's part of being a teen, part of being in school, part of being alive. So.
But now the funny thing is this, we are not going to fight like that. Like we
Yeah.
look back at it and laugh, or
Yeah,
we
now
either
you look
regret
at the funny parts of it, you look at the nice parts of it. The very things that irritated you now become those fond memories.
Okay. So I move on to the next one. What would you love or like to do when you reach an older age? When you can rest your hands on myself and my brother. Any wishes or dreams?
No, I think till the last breath I would like to be teaching. I think that for me is the biggest purpose of my life is to teach. So, if I didn't have to worry about paying bills and I didn't have to worry about, going places at different times and attending meetings, which, are just total waste of time as far as I'm concerned. If I could just have that opportunity to teach, I think that would be a life that I would like to have, because my Ishta Devata is a Dakshina Murti, and I feel that I am very, very connected to myself when I teach. So, an opportunity where I can teach without having to worry about going to town and making money so that somebody can do something, or paying the electricity bill, and I think this would be nice to have that. But again, I don't know, because I saw my father do everything and still teach. He used to take care of the whole ashram and still teach. So if he could do it, retire and come back to India at an age where people just put the feet up and start a new life and create what he created. So I think he has given such a amazing role model of what you can be. Until the last week of his life, before he passed away at the age of 87, the last week of his life also he was teaching. And then just that last week in December, he was taken to Chennai and then, left his body in Apollo Hospital. But, till that last period, he was still teaching. I think that is what I would like to see myself do, is teach more, reach people more, and let those qualitative teachings of yoga come as alive as possible through me. I think what I really would like to see is that I purify myself to such a level, as Patanjali said, Shuddhi Samye, that we have to have that purity that is as close to Ishvara as possible. Let the kleshas fall away, let the karma vipaka fall away, so that we can be a true vehicle of these teachings, and let the universe teach through us. So I think that would be something I would look forward to, because I do not like dealing with money. That is one of the things that really, really irritates me, when I have to talk to people about money, and you haven't paid your fees, or you haven't paid your fees for 6 months, so we have to ask you to stop coming for class. That I think is the most hurtful thing. And at Yoganjali, I think the most difficult thing for me ever is talking about money. That's why we leave it to Mr. Shanmugam to take care. He can manage that part. Because even now, running the online courses, trying to talk to people about money, for me I find it very difficult. Yet money is a form of energy exchange. And in Indian tradition, the student always gave back to the teacher as a Guru Dakshina. Nowadays, if you say yes, you can give what you want, people will end up giving nothing, because that's.
I think in one of the episodes we had that thing where one of your
we had a couple of rupees and other things like that. So even now, while I'm doing this, there are people who have been offering wholeheartedly, and I have great gratitude for all the students who are giving back. And then there are people who you don't know them at all, they have nothing to do with you, and they just write to you and say, you have to do it free for me, as if, they have come from the heavens directly or something. And, you want to share. It's not that you are sharing only to people who pay, okay? Thousands are getting things free, thousands are getting things subsidized. But, people should be worthy of that, not this demand. Even the other day, there's a mad guy on the road. So after doing my cycling, I saw him on the way, so I stopped, and now and then I gave him some money. So, I took out 50 rupees and gave him, okay, and he says, this is not enough, give me more. And I said, give it back to me, because, I am giving, and when you say this is not enough, you are blocking. He said, no, give it to me. I said, see, that's the last time I'm going to give you, because for me, what is very important is giving should be accepted. The capacity to receive in a nice way is very important. So giving and receiving has to be balanced. So when we are receiving knowledge, when we are receiving teachings, it is the duty of the student to support the teacher. This is Indian culture. This is how I was brought up. So when I find people who sort of want to grab in a consumeristic mentality, and the relationship between teacher and student is not service provider and consumer, and that's not what it is about. And if any of you think that's what you have with me, please cut that relationship. I share with my students because I like to share, but then at the same time it cannot be a one-way street. And so so many people, some people by getting up at 4 in the morning have shown their commitment to my teaching. That means a lot to me. Some people could do it financially, some people could do it by sending beautiful feedback, some people could do it in other ways, supporting. And so many ways to support each other. I think it is very important we look at that. But yes, I think the growing old part for me should be, hopefully I should grow wiser and should be able to share more and have more time and energy for sharing. That is the most important part for me.
Well, at least there's 12 more years for me and my brother to build up, I think so, until you become close to 60. Well, I'm sure we'll do as much as we can, and maybe this will be, it might grow larger and bigger, because both of us, I'm not going more, I'm more in the same thing that Tata and you and everybody has been doing, the yoga, dance and singing. But especially with my brother, when he's doing taekwondo, it's a new thing to it. So I'm not just, he going to nationals and, winning that. That's another side. But he may be able to include taekwondo in yoga and somehow, provide like a self-defense things and everything that could really be useful. And
I think one skill that he has is as a cameraman. So today he's gone for his class, so he's not here to take the camera, so we have it on auto mode. But I think that's a skill which would be very useful, because if I didn't have to worry about filming something and putting it on YouTube or Facebook, and all I had to do was speak and somebody would do it for me, that would be nice, okay? Because basically Dr. Ananda is a do-it-yourself person. So create the content, upload it and all, and that's not really a economically friendly model, but it's a heartful model, because then whatever you're getting is fully me. And I think that's also nice, that I am offering me as a complete package.
Well, I think we'll learn it soon and make it a little easier as much as we can.
I hope so.
Okay, so when we were just talking about this topic, I just wanted to share and thank each of you who's sending these wonderful messages, both on my dad's sessions and the different things on Facebook. And as I've been able to be in Facebook and even in my singing, I might not be replying to every single comment, but it really helps me. A single line, or I don't even expect 10 lines, just a single line of saying that you are doing good and just keep doing this really helps. And at this age, when I'm trying to build up and searching for what I came into this world, I kind of still don't know the exact thing, but I kind of have a graph or something that I know what to do. So thanking you all, and especially in this Tell Me Appa series, and I really noticed many people sent in message saying that the episode 3 and episode 6 was the favorite. Well, I think all the episodes I kind of liked, but maybe that had, something more that people wanted
something that they resonated with.
Maybe more in common and all of that. So thanking you all, and we'll be back soon with more episodes coming up, and waiting for your questions. Or else it's not a problem, I'll ask my questions and maybe it will be a question that you thought. That was also a reply from some people saying that the last episode especially, people had thought of that and some other person had asked the question, or either it was my question and they just felt in common that they were also not knowing that. So thanking you all, have a nice day and enjoy, stay safe, and we'll be back to you soon.
Remember, sharing is caring, so keep sharing these videos and let's spread positivity, let's spread beautiful thoughts in this time when there's a lot of negativity. So let's do our best. Have a wonderful time.